There is a man hanging off the end of my arm. His feet are not touching anything. Neither is the mountain that used to be behind him. His name is Tian Yuan. He is the strongest thing that has ever lived on this planet, and right now, he is begging. 300 million. That is his number. It has not moved a single point in 400 years. Mine passed his 19 minutes ago and it is still going up. Because he will not stop hitting me, and every time he hits me, I get stronger. 520 days before this, I could not pull a leaf off a branch. Hold on to that. Follow the channel. I will show you every second of it. My name is Wei Lang, 23 years old. Night shift, Depot 9, a freight yard 2 hours outside Chengdu. I move boxes off a truck onto a shelf. Later I move them off the shelf onto a different truck. 11 hours, 6 nights a week. There is no skill in it. There is no future in it either. I've been doing it since I was 19 and I am good at exactly one thing, which is not complaining. Day 0, 10 at night. Nobody on Earth has a number over their head yet, including me. Kang Ji runs my shift. He has run it for 4 years. He is 31 and he still thinks that is impressive. He carries a clipboard he does not write on. He walks the aisles slow, hands behind his back, waiting for somebody to be worth stopping for. Do it again, he says. 11 crates, 40 kilos each. I take them down, turn every one of them 90 degrees and put them back. It takes 40 minutes. He watches all 40. That is my life at 4 in the morning on the last normal night the world ever has. My sister is waiting outside the gate at 6, Ru Qing. 19 years old, second year at a college she got into on her own. She walks home with me twice a week because she thinks I am lonely. She's right. I would rather she was wrong. You look terrible, she says. I look employed. Those are the same thing, Wei. She says it like she has been saving it up the whole walk. Day 1. 6:14 in the morning. The sky over the yard cracks open like a lid coming off a jar. There is no sound at first. That is the part I remember worst. A grid of light unrolls across the whole sky, edge to edge, horizon to horizon. Lines and boxes, all the way to the mountains. Then, the sound arrives. One note. Low. Every window in the yard office goes out at once. Somebody screams. Then everyone does. The light comes down in threads. 1 thread per person. It finds every human being in the yard in under 2 seconds, and it does not miss anyone. A letter burns into the air above Kang Ji's head. Silver. The letter S. He looks up at it. His mouth opens. He does not say anything for a long moment, and then he starts laughing, and it is not a nice sound. The forklift driver gets a D. The 2 guys from the loading bay get an F and an E. The woman from the yard office gets an F. She sits down hard on the gravel and does not get up. Day 1. 6:16. Strength 0. Everyone in this yard now has a letter over their head except one person. Ru Kong is 2 meters from me. Her thread comes down and the letter that burns over her head is blue. B. She grabs my sleeve. Wait, what is this? What is happening? Then my thread comes down. It is thinner than the others. It touches the top of my head and it stops there, and it does not brighten and it does not warm. Above me, a shape starts to form and then hesitates. It flickers. Something underneath it seems to be checking a list twice. It settles into a white 0. Not an F. F is a letter, and every person in that yard can see the difference from 10 meters away. Mine is a number. It is small and it is white and it is a 0, and it sits there over my head like a receipt for nothing. A voice comes out of the sky in a language nobody in the yard has ever heard, and every person hears it in their own. Day 1. 6:18. Every number on this planet is now locked, and there are 11 people in the yard who do not know that yet. The world has been opened. Your rank has been assigned. It will not change. Kang Ji hears that last part. I watch him hear it. He looks at the S over his head. Then he looks at the 0 over mine, and he laughs so hard he has to put a hand on a crate. 4 years, he says. 4 years I have been telling you what you are. The sky just wrote it down. Day 1. 6:20. Strength 0, and the yard smells like burnt wiring. I did not know it was a strength number yet. Nobody did. All anyone knew that morning was the letter, and mine was not a letter. Kang Ji walks over. Everyone is still on the ground or against a wall or looking at the sky, and he walks over to me like it is any other shift. He takes my right wrist. He is gentle about it, which is worse. He puts my hand flat on the loading rail. The rail is cold steel, 40 millimeters thick, bolted into concrete. Let's see what a 0 holds, he says. I pull. There is nothing in my arm. There has never been much, but now there is nothing at all, and my whole body weighs more than it did an hour ago. He brings the crate down on the back of my hand. Something cracks in there. two things. The sound goes up my arm into my teeth. The yard tilts sideways and I land on my knees in the gravel. Ruching screams at him. She is a B rank as of 6 minutes ago and she does not know what that means yet, and neither does he. He steps back anyway. Even 400 years later, I think that is the smartest thing Kang Ji ever did. Day 1. 6:40 in the morning. Strength 0 and 2 fingers pointing the wrong way. My hand is already going purple. 2 fingers point where fingers do not point. I'm still looking at it when the fence comes down at the north end of the yard. Not falls. Comes down, 40 meters of chain link and steel post fold inward and something walks over the top of them. It is 4 meters tall, it has too many joints in the wrong places, and it moves like it is being pulled forward on a wire. The forklift driver hits it with a forklift. 4 tons, full speed, straight into the ribs. The forks bend. The machine stops dead. The driver goes through the cage and lands 20 meters back in the gravel. The thing does not even turn around. Kang Ji does turn around. Silver S, 15,000 times what I am, and he is over the south fence in 4 seconds and gone. That is the other thing I learned on day 1. A big number does not make anybody brave. Day 1. 7 in the morning. Strength 0. 19 people were in this yard at dawn. By 9, there are 6. Chen from the loading bay is closest. He gets 2 steps. I am going to say this part once and then not again. It picks him up by the middle. It bites through him, it drops both halves, and it is already looking for the next one. I get behind the crate line. Then, under the yard office, into a maintenance vent on my hands and knees with 2 broken fingers. I do not stop crawling until I am 40 meters in. I lie there in the dark with my face in the dust and I listen to the yard for 11 hours. Day 1. Noon. Strength 0. I have not moved in 5 hours, and I do not know yet that this is the problem. Metal tearing. Concrete cracking. Somebody shouting a name over and over and then not shouting it. I am not going to pretend I did anything else. There was nothing else to do. A 0 in event is the only thing a 0 can be that day. Ruching lives. I find that out later. She carried 3 people out of the yard office before noon and did not have a scratch on her. That is what a B does on the first day. That is what a 0 does. Day 1. 6 in the evening. Strength 9. I see it in the dark. The white 0 over my head throws just enough light to see my own hands, and while I am lying there holding my wrist, it changes. 0 becomes 1. I stare at it. 1 becomes 2. Nothing else about me changes. I am still lying in a vent. I still cannot make a fist. But the number moves. It does not move on a clock. I watch it for 20 minutes and I work out the rule sitting there in the dust, and the rule is stupid, and it is simple. So I test it. I lie still and count to 60. Nothing. I open and close my good hand 100 times. Nothing. It is not work that does it. Then I put my shoulder into the vent wall and push until my arm shakes and the edges of my vision go white. 1 per second, the whole time I am shaking. It stops the second I stop, so that is the deal. It only counts when I am about to tear something. So I stay there in the dark, under a yard full of monsters, broken hand, pushing on a wall until my shoulder gives out, then pushing with the other one. Day 1. Midnight. Strength 20,000. 20,000 sounds enormous. It is not. I found out 4 days later what an ordinary man is worth. No rank, no thread. 100,000 on this scale. I had gone all day and all night without stopping. I was a fifth of a normal person. Day 2. Dawn. Strength 20,040. I crawl out at first light because I have not had water in a day and a night. The yard is quiet. There are things in it that used to be crates. There are things in it that used to be people. The training pit does not exist yet. Depot 9 is not a wall yet. There are no 41 people yet. Right now there is one guy with a dead hand and a number nobody can read from more than a meter away. I get to the fence line. There is a tree on the other side of the access road, and the lowest branch comes down to about my chest. I put my left hand on a leaf and I pull. My good hand. My whole body behind it. It does not come off. I brace my feet and I lean back with everything I have, and the leaf holds and the branch does not even bend. Day 2. 8 in the morning. Strength 20,060. I want to be very clear about this because it is the number I keep coming back to. Day 2. 20,000 strength. 1 leaf. So I hang on it instead. Both hands. Feet off the ground. Wrist screaming. I count out loud because there is nobody left to hear me. 20,100. 20,200. My fingers go numb at 400 and I keep hanging. Day 2. Noon. Strength 21,000. Kang Ji finds me around then. He has come back for something in the yard office, and he sees me hanging off a tree like an idiot with a broken hand. He does not hit me. He does not have to anymore, and both of us know it. "You are still doing that," he says. "Whatever that is." "Yes." You know your rank does not change. It said so. Everybody's is fixed. I look at him. Silver S over his head, and it has not moved a single point since 6:14 yesterday morning. And it never will. Yes, I say. That is what it said. He waits for more. There is not any more, so he leaves. Day 2, evening. Strength 22,000. Here is what I knew at the end of the second day, and it was not much. I knew my number went up when I hurt. I knew nobody else's number went up at all, because I asked 4 people, and all 4 looked at me like I was slow. I knew a normal man was 5 times what I was, and Kang Ji was 15,000 times what I was. I did not know it was a loan. I did not know there was a lender. I did not know that under all of this there was a ledger. Every awakened person on Earth written into it. My name nowhere on the page? I did not know any of that for another 190 days. All I knew on day 2 was this. The sky had told the whole world, in every language at once, that its number would never change, and mine was moving while it said it. Day 3. Morning. Strength, 45,000. There are 19 people alive in the depot block, and none of them have had water since the sky opened. The mains went down with everything else. The yard tank is cracked. There is 1 standpipe left on this whole road. It is bolted to the wall of the pump house at the end of it. A man is sitting on a plastic chair in front of it. He has an F over his head. Orange, small, 300,000 on a scale nobody has explained to any of us yet. He is not a soldier. He was a driver for a paint company. I know this because his van is still parked 40 meters away with the logo on the side. Now he owns the water. The rule he has made is simple. You come with something. He decides if it is enough. If it is not enough, you come back tomorrow with more. I watch a woman give him her wedding ring for 2 bottles. I watch a man give him his shoes. Day 3, noon. Strength 49,000. I am 22,000 under a sixth of what he is. I know that because I have started asking people what their number feels like. Nobody can tell me. Nobody else's ever moves. I go anyway. That is the stupidest thing in this whole part, and I am not going to dress it up. Day 4. 9 in the morning. Strength 71,000. I walk up the road with an empty crate under my good arm. 11 people from the block walk about 30 meters behind me. Close enough to watch. Far enough to not be with me. Line's back there, he says. I am not in the line. He stands up off the chair. That is all he does. He stands up. I get one hand on the pipe. Then the road hits me in the back of the head, and I understand that I have been thrown, and that I did not see any part of it happen. I go through the chain fence on the far side, not over, through. 2 ribs, left collarbone. Something in my knee that clicks for the next 4 months, and the number goes down. 71,000 becomes 58,000 while I am lying in the grass watching it. 13,000 gone in 9 seconds. That is the third thing this system does, and nobody told me either. What breaks comes off the total, permanently. 4 days of pushing on a wall, and 1 throw took 3 of them back. Day 4. Evening. Strength 59,000. He does not follow me. He does not need to. He goes back to his chair, and somebody brings him a bag of rice, and the line starts up again. 11 people watched. Nobody helps me up. I want to be honest about the walk back because it is the low point of the whole story, and I am not going to pretend I took it well. I sat in a drainage ditch for 2 hours, and I could not get my breathing right, and I thought about the vent. The vent was easy. The vent had a wall to push on and nobody watching. Then I got up and I went and found a freight container. Day 5, dawn. Strength 82,000, container 641, steel box 12 meters, empty except for 8 pallets of ceramic floor tile that never got shipped. 900 kilos of tile. That is the whole gym. I cannot lift a pallet. I cannot lift a quarter of a pallet. What I can do is get under 1 corner of one and hold it off the floor for as long as my legs will take it, which is 11 seconds. 11 points. Then I do it again. Day 5. Late morning. Strength 100,000. Here is the number I promised you earlier. 100,000 is an ordinary adult man. No rank, no thread, nothing, just a man. I hit it at 11 in the morning on the 5th day, in a steel box, holding up the corner of a pallet of bathroom tile. 4 days earlier, I could not get a leaf off a branch. Nobody saw it. Nobody clapped. It is still the single best moment of my life, and I am including everything that comes later. By the 6th day, the number is 128,000, and the rule from the vent still holds. It only counts when I am about to tear something. So the tile has to get heavier every day, because a corner that broke me on Monday is a shelf I can rest on by Thursday. On the 5th day, it is 1 corner of 1 pallet. On the 6th, 2 corners. On the 7th, a whole pallet off the deck by 3 centimeters for 9 seconds. By the 8th, I am stacking loose tile onto the pallet before I lift it. Day 8, strength 180,000. I stop sleeping on the 8th day. The arithmetic is stupid and obvious. 8 hours of sleep is 8 hours, the number does not move. 28,000 points a night, thrown away every night. So I do not. On the 9th day, I hold tile in the dark with my eyes open, and the number goes past 200,000 somewhere around 3 in the morning. When my legs go, I use my back. When my back goes, I hang off the container door frame by 2 hands and let my own weight do it. Day 10. Strength 231,000. On the 10th day, I cough onto the back of my hand and there is blood in it. Not a lot. Enough. I look at it for a while. Sitting on the floor of a steel box at 4 in the morning, 900 kilos of bathroom tile stacked around me like a wall. Then I go back under the pallet because the woman down the road gave away her wedding ring for 2 bottles of water. I want to be clear that this is not brave. I was angry and I had found the only thing in the world that answered when I pushed on it. 600 kilometers away, in a building that used to be a tax office, a woman in a gray uniform is scrolling a list. The list has every awakened human on this planet on it. 2.1 billion lines. Rank, region, date of assignment, projected yield. She types a district code and pulls the block that contains Depot 9. 19 names. The F at the pump house is line 4. Kangji is line 11. Ruqing was moved to a separate list in the first hour because of what she is. She scrolls the 19 twice because the count at the top says 19 and she can only find 18. Then she marks it as a rounding error and moves on to the next district. That is the closest anyone comes to noticing me for another 190 days. Day 11. Strength 282,000. He is at 300,000. I am 18,000 short. I have 400 kilos of tile on a pallet I can hold at chest height for a minute and a half. Day 12. 6 in the morning. Strength 310,000. I walk up the road with the same empty crate under the same arm. Same 11 people, 30 meters back. Same plastic chair. Same van with the paint logo on the side. You again, he says. Me again. He stands up off the chair. Here is the part I want to explain properly because it is the whole trick and I use a version of it for the rest of my life. A least rank gives you strength. It does not give you a single thing else. Not stamina, not lungs, not a body that has done anything in 11 days except sit on a chair in front of a pipe. He is 300,000 and he has been 300,000 since the morning the sky opened. He has never had to find out what that costs to use. I have spent 10 days finding out, so I do not swing back. Day 12, 6:01 in the morning. Strength 310,000 and he is walking at me. He hits me in the chest and I go down the road on my heels and stay up. He hits me again and I take it in the shoulder and stay up. He gets me on the ground twice in the first minute and I get back up both times and I do not throw anything. He kicks my legs out and I land on my elbow on the road and the skin comes off it in a strip. I get my feet under me. He is already swinging again. I take that one on the arm and feel the bone bend and not break. Day 12. 6:03. Strength 312,000 and my shirt is stuck to my back. Minute 2. He is breathing hard. Nobody in the line has ever made it to minute 2. Minute 3. He is swinging with his arm and not his hips. Something in me notices that the number is climbing faster than it has all week. I do not stop to ask why. I find out why in 408 days, in a hole under the world with 2 mountains behind me. He puts a fist into my ribs, the 2 that are already cracked, and I make a sound I have never made before. I still do not throw anything. 11 people are watching me not throw anything, and I know exactly what it looks like. Minute 4. He grabs my collar with both hands, which is what people do when they are finished, and puts his forehead into my face. Day 12. 6:05. Strength 313,000 and my nose is broken. My nose goes. I let it. Then I take his wrist. One hand. My left one. The good one. I do not do anything clever with it. I close my fingers and I hold on and he tries to pull it back and cannot, and I watch him find that out. 310,000 against a man who stopped growing on the first day and has been sitting down ever since. He pulls. Nothing. He pulls with both hands and his whole body and puts a foot on my chest for leverage. His wrist does not move. I watch his face while he works out that it is not going to. He goes to his knees on the road in front of 11 people and a plastic chair. I do not hit him. I want to say I thought about mercy. I did not. I thought about my right hand still not closing and the fact that I only had one hand free and I was using it. Go and get your van, I tell him. Take it and go. He goes. Day 12, 7 in the morning. Strength 314,000. His van starts on the 3rd try. He backs it up the road without looking at anybody and he is gone before the dust settles. I walk to the standpipe and I turn the handle all the way open and I leave it open. Nobody says anything for about 10 seconds. Then the woman who gave away her wedding ring pushes past me with a bucket. That breaks it. 19 people and every container they can carry. I sit on the plastic chair because my legs have gone and I am bleeding out of my face onto my shirt. Somebody puts a bottle in my hand without saying anything and walks off before I can look up. That is the first time anybody at Depot 9 gives me anything. His name was Old Son and he drove the yard sweeper for 9 years and he does not say a word to me for another month. Day 13. Strength 327,000. I sleep for 14 hours on the floor of the container and lose about 400,000 points doing it, and I do not care. They start coming to the container. Not to talk. They stand at the door and watch a man hold up floor tile and go away again. By the evening, 2 of them are stacking the tile back for me between sets, and neither of us mentions it. One of them asks how heavy it has to be. I tell him it has to be too heavy. He nods like that makes sense and goes and finds more tile. Day 14. Evening. Strength 340,000. My ribs are strapped with packing tape. My right hand still does not close. My knee clicks and will keep clicking. 2 weeks in. Here is where I stand. I am past an F. I am a third of the way to an E. There are 19 people on this road who have water because of a hand, a wrist, and 900 kilos of tile. Kangji is 15,000 times what I am, and has not moved a point since 6:14 on the first morning. And I still do not know why mine moves at all. But something happened in the 3rd minute of that fight that I could not explain for over a year. He was hitting me as hard as he could. And that was when the number went up fastest. Day 15. Strength 360,000. The standpipe stays open. Nobody argues about it. Old Son brings me rice the next morning and does not say why, and I do not ask. Kang Ji does not come back. Nobody at Depot 9 has seen him since he ran on day 1. I go back to the tile anyway because a body that took 4 minutes of punches still has to eat. Day 16. Strength 390,000. 900 kilos was a wall on day 5. Today, I hold the whole stack over my head and read a label on the far wall. 0 points. The number does not move. That is the first rule, and it never softens. What broke me yesterday is furniture today. So I need heavier, and there is nothing heavier in a freight yard than freight, and I have already used all of it. The crane counterweight is 11 tons and bolted down. I cannot get a hand under it. The water tank is empty aluminum or welded to a stand. Day 17. Strength 425,000. Somebody at the standpipe tells me there is a bureau annex 40 kilometers north with a working terminal. The bureau was supposed to explain the ranks. Nobody I have met has ever got an answer out of them. I walk it in a day and a half. 2 ribs, a knee that clicks. Day 19. Strength 480,000. The annex is a 2-story building, front doors welded shut, a market running in the car park. I go in through a window at the back. A man in a filing room points a chair leg at me. "Nothing in here is worth stealing," he says. "I have checked extensively." That is Baosheng, 38 years old, bureau clerk for 11 of them. Rank F, which he mentions immediately and keeps mentioning. Working terminal, a camp bed, 400 boxes of files. A jar of instant coffee he guards like a child. "You want your rank explained," he says. "Everybody does. Sit down." I do not have a rank. He looks at the white 0 over my head. He looks at it a while longer than that. "Sit down," he says again, in a different voice. I tell him everything. The vent, the tile, the man at the pump house. He does not believe me. Then he asks me to hold the end of his camp bed while he watches the number, and it climbs while I hold and stops the second I let go. "Right," he says. "We are doing this properly." Day 21. Strength 540,000. He tests it like a clerk tests anything, which is to say relentlessly. Press-ups. 1,100 of them. He counts out loud and drinks his coffee and does not help. The number climbs for the first 90, then it stops. 90 used to be where my arms failed. They do not fail there anymore. "Not work," he says. "Failure. You get paid at the edge and nowhere else." He times me over 40 meters. 6.2 seconds. Slow for a man. Embarrassing for a man who can lift a car. A week later, 6.2 seconds again. He drops a coin from shoulder height and tells me to catch it. I miss it 11 times out of 11. He laughs so hard he sits down on a filing box. "You are going to be the strongest man alive," he says, "and a dog could still bite you." Strength only. Not speed, not reflex, not skin. My body is a warehouse worker's body carrying a number it has no business carrying. Damage comes off the total, and he works out the ratio with a pen in one afternoon. Roughly what the tissue held, taken off the top, and it does not come back on its own. He writes all 3 rules on the back of a filing envelope and pins it above the terminal. Failure pays. Nothing else grows. Everything broken is deducted. That envelope stays on the wall for the next 500 days. Day 24. Strength 625,000. The car park market is 30 people selling out of car boots. I am there for rice because I am the one who can carry it. An old man sits at the end of the row with a folding table and almost nothing on it. 2 watches, a radio, a tin of pears. He is not selling. He is watching the market the way a man watches a river. "You are looking for something heavy," he says as I pass. I have not said a word to anybody in that car park. I am. "You will not find it up here." He does not look at me. "Weight is a thing you carry. You will run out." Everybody runs out. So what does not run out? Pressure. He turns the tin of pears so the label faces front. Pressure is already there. Go down far enough and you will not have to lift anything at all. I think he is one of the ones the first month broke. I say thank you. He asks my name. I give it. He does not write it down. He has nothing to write on. He looks at the space above my head a second longer than a person should. Then he goes back to watching the market, and I carry the rice home, and I do not think about him again for 400 days. Day 26. Strength 685,000. Here is the formula that runs the rest of my life. I do not need weight. I need to be somewhere that is trying to kill me. Weight is just the cheapest version of that. Day 28. Strength 745,000. Baosheng finds an overpass on the North Road. 4 lanes, collapsed at one end, resting on a bus. Underneath it, there is a gap you can stand up in. Above the gap, a concrete deck section is very slowly coming down. "How heavy?" I ask him. He is a clerk, not an engineer. I know that. I ask him anyway. 4 tons, he says. Maybe 5. Day 31. Strength 830,000. It is 41 tons. I get under it, shoulders and hands flat on the underside, and take the weight off the bus. For 9 seconds, it is the best thing that has ever happened to me. The number climbs like a fire alarm. Then the bus roof gives. The whole section drops another 20 centimeters onto me, and my knees go into the road surface up to the ankle. 41 tons of motorway, and I cannot get out from under it. Baosheng is 30 meters back, where I told him to stand. He does not stay there. He comes in under the edge with a jack handle and levers the corner up maybe 4 centimeters. Enough for me to get 1 foot back. Then the whole deck slides sideways off the bus. I get out. He does not. It takes 11 people and a truck winch 2 hours to lift it off him. They take the leg below the knee in the car park on a table with grain alcohol and a bone saw out of a veterinary bag. He is awake for most of it. Twice he asked me to check the number and tell him if it went up while he was under there. It did not. It does not work like that for him. It does not work like that for anybody else on this planet. Day 33. Strength 890,000. I sit outside that room for 11 hours doing the arithmetic I am going to keep doing for the rest of my life. I asked a filing clerk to estimate a concrete load. He said 4 tons because he wanted to be useful. I did not check. I never check when I want something to be true. Day 35, strength 950,000. When he can talk, he does not shout at me. I would have preferred it if he had. Write it down next time. That is the whole lesson. Write it down and get somebody who does not like you to check it. Then he asks for his coffee. Day 37. Strength 1,040,000. I pass an E rank sitting on the floor outside that room, my back against the wall. 1 million points. There are maybe 200,000 E ranks in this country, and every one of them was handed it on the first morning and has not moved since. It took me 37 days in a man's leg. Day 40. Strength 1,100,000. Baosheng is on crutches, running the terminal from a chair, telling the whole market what happened at the overpass with his own part improved every time. He has already asked me twice when we go back. 3 rules pinned to a wall. A formula that works. I have to go somewhere worse. The old man at the folding table told me where. I did not hear it yet. 600 kilometers away, a woman in a gray uniform is preparing the first collection notice for this district. 19 names on it. Mine is not one of them. Day 41. Strength 1,140,000. Baosheng cannot walk to the standpipe on crutches every day. Neither can half the people who found their way here in the last month. So on day 41, I stopped training for a morning. I build a fence instead. Not much of a fence. Freight pallets stood on end and lashed together with strapping, running from the pump house wall to the old scale house. 6 hours, and it keeps out exactly nothing that matters, because nothing that matters has come yet. But it is a line. Inside the line and outside the line are different places now, and everybody who lives inside it knows it. Day 43. Strength 1,200,000. 22 people inside the fence by the end of the first week. Old son brings his sister. Old Sun's sister brings 2 neighbors. Word moves faster than I expected it to. I did not ask any of them to come. I do not turn any of them away either. Baosheng keeps the terminal running off a siphoned generator. He starts a list on a whiteboard. Names. What each person can do. Water goes to a rota instead of a queue. He is better at running 22 people than I will ever be at running 1. Day 46. Strength 1,380,000. The overpass is done. 41 tons was the ceiling, and I passed it in 9 seconds on day 31, and the whole structure is furniture to me now. So, Baosheng and I go looking, and what we find on the east side of the district is a collapsed grain silo. 4 concrete rings, stacked at an angle, still settling. I get under the low edge on the first day, and the whole ring drops 2 centimeters before it catches. I go down with it, face first into the gravel. I come up laughing with a split lip. On the second day, it drops another 3 centimeters and slams my forearm against the lip of the lower ring. The skin splits open to the bone. It closes again over 4 days on its own, and I do not have the words yet for what that means about the second rule. Baosheng wraps it anyway, because he does not trust a wound to know its own business, and calls me an idiot in 3 separate languages while he does it. It takes 4 days to find out it is not settling anymore. It found its floor, 90 tons and not moving. I put my palm flat on the underside just to feel the difference. There is none. It is stone now, not rubble. Day 50. Strength 1,600,000. I ask Old Sun to teach 2 of the yard kids how to weld. We have 40 meters of chain link sitting in a container doing nothing. I want it standing up around the whole depot. He looks at me like I have grown a second head. You want a wall around a warehouse? I want a wall around us. He does it anyway. 3 weeks, working around my training schedule and his own knees. One of the kids drops a live torch on the second day and sets his own sleeve on fire. Old Sun tackles him into the water barrel before it reaches skin. The kid comes up soaked and laughing and goes straight back to welding. When it is done, it is ugly, patched, 4 meters high with gaps that get closed one at a time as we find more chain link, and it holds. Day 55. Strength 1,900,000. Donghu's name comes up for the first time on day 55, and it comes up wrong, which is how I remember it. 2 men in decent boots walk up to the gate with a cart. One of them puts a boot on the bottom rail of the fence to lean on it. Testing whether it holds his weight before he has said a word, they ask politely whether anyone inside would like to sell their rank. You cannot sell a rank, Baosheng says. It is not a rank, it is a lease. That is exactly why it can be sold, one of them says. A lease is a contract. Contracts change hands. They are not lying. Baosheng knows it before I do. He has read enough bureau files to know that somewhere there is paperwork for this. A market for buying a dying man's number off him cheap and selling it on. Their employer is a man named Donghu. Nobody at the gate has met him. Everybody has heard the name. The one holding the cart handle taps it twice against the gatepost on his way out. A small habit, like a man closing a ledger. Day 57. Strength 2,000,000. The name gets repeated at the standpipe for 3 days straight before it stops meaning anything new. We turn the cart away, and Baosheng writes the date on the whiteboard next to it, the way he writes everything down now. It comes back 3 more times over the following weeks. Always polite, always a different pair of men. Day 60, strength 2,200,000. The training pit moves to the silo permanently, close enough to walk to, far enough that the depot does not hear me screaming under 90 tons at 4 in the morning. 31 people inside the fence now. There is a rota for water, a rota for food, a rota for watch on the gate. None of it exists because I organized it. Baosheng organized all of it, from a chair, with his leg propped on a crate. What I did was hold things up until they stopped being able to hurt me. What he did was turn 22 strangers into a place that runs. Day 65. Strength 2,500,000. Somebody finally paints the name on the gate. Depot 9, in yard marking paint, the same orange they used to mark damaged freight. Nobody asks my opinion before they do it. I find out looking at it from across the yard on my way back from the silo. I stand there longer than I mean to. It is a warehouse. It was always a warehouse. But it has a name now that is not the number stamped on a shipping manifest. 31 people sleep behind that name every night, and none of them are dead. Day 70. Strength 2,700,000. Denghu's men come a 4th time. This time there are 6 of them and no cart. They walk into the yard past the gate watch. That tells me exactly how seriously they take a fence built out of pallets and chain link by a warehouse crew. Baosheng meets them near the whiteboard on his crutches. He asks them calmly to leave. The one in front laughs and reaches for the whiteboard to knock it down, the way a man swats something to make a point. His hand does not get there. Old Sun steps between him and the board with a length of rebar, and the man shoves him hard enough to put him on the ground. Old son is 61 years old. He goes down on his hip and does not get up right away. Day 71. Strength 2,740,000. Old son cannot stand on that hip for 3 days after and works the rota sitting down. I come out of the training pit gap 60 meters away because somebody ran to get me. I do not throw anything. 2,700,000 does not need throwing. I put my hand flat against the side of the loading dock roof, the concrete canopy that runs the length of the old truck bay, and I bring it down. Not on them. In front of them, a wall of concrete and rebar drops 8 meters onto the ground they are about to stand on. Close enough that the dust strips paint off 2 of their jackets. Nobody is under it. That is the whole point. 2 of them are still on the ground from the dust wave when the third one moves. One of them draws a knife anyway, more reflex than plan. I close my hand around his wrist before it clears his belt. He swings with his free hand and catches me across the jaw, and it costs him nothing, and me even less. I do not break anything. I just do not let go until the knife hits the gravel. They leave without the cart, without saying anything, and one of them looks back at me twice before the gate. Old son is back on his feet within the hour, testing the hip. He swears at it in a language I do not recognize. He tells me the man who shoved him had soft hands. He says it like an insult worse than anything else that happened that day. Day 75. Strength 3,010,000. I pass a D rank on day 75 holding up a slab of a collapsed silo ring in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday. Nobody notices except Baosheng, who writes it on the whiteboard next to the water rota like it is any other line item. 3 million. 10,000 E ranks in this country never come close to it. I did it in 75 days. Freight tile, a highway, and a piece of grain storage that used to hold a harvest. Day 80. Strength 3,400,000. 41 people behind the fence now. The number sticks in my head for reasons I do not have yet. We have water, a rota, walls that are ugly but standing, a name painted in warehouse orange over a gate that used to lead nowhere. I built none of the rota. I built none of the trust that makes 41 strangers share water without a fight. What I built is the wall around it, and the reason nobody has come through the gate with a cart in 3 weeks. Baosheng built the rest. On a chair, with a leg he does not have anymore. Neither of us says that out loud because we do not need to. Day 85. Strength 3,700,000. 200 kilometers north, in a ledger relay station built inside a bank vault, a screen that has not changed in 85 days finally updates. Wave 3, preparation. District 7, rank tier F collection in 100 days. The woman who checks these things every morning reads it twice, the way she reads everything twice, and marks the district for standard notice. She does not know there are 41 people behind a chain link fence 11 kilometers from that vault, 20 of whom are the exact rank tier on that screen. She does not know because nobody has ever told her to check, and the list she works from still says 18 where it should say 19. Day 90. Strength 4,100,000. I do not know about the screen. Nobody behind the fence does. What I know on day 90 is this. Depot 9 has water, walls, a rota, 41 names on a whiteboard. And that for the first time since the sky opened, I fall asleep without meaning to. 6 hours straight. I lose maybe 200,000 points doing it? I do not care even slightly. Day 93. Strength 4,500,000. Denghu sends a letter this time. Actual paper, actual handwriting, delivered by a boy of about 12 who will not come past the gate. It says he admires what has been built here. It says a wall this good deserves better than a training pit and a whiteboard. It offers a number for the whole operation, land, and people, and all. More money than any of us have seen since the sky opened. Baosheng reads it out loud to the whole yard once. Then he burns it on the whiteboard's own easel. It nearly sets the whiteboard on fire. People tell that story for weeks. Day 95. Strength 4,900,000. One of the depot kids follows me to the silo before dawn without asking. He wants to see it. I tell him to stand back at the fence line. He does not listen. A chip of concrete the size of a fist lands 2 meters from his foot. He does not run. He picks it up off the gravel and keeps it, turning it over twice in his hands like it is worth something more than a broken piece of a silo. Baosheng finds out about this later and bans the kid from the silo for a week. The kid ignores it by the 3rd day. Baosheng lets him. I'm at the silo before dawn, under the 90-ton ring, and for the first time it moves under me instead of just holding still. Not much. A hand's width. But concrete that has not settled in 3 months moves because I moved it. The number on the whiteboard back at the gate is the smallest thing about that morning. Something is coming in 100 days that nobody behind that fence has a name for yet. I do not know that either. I just know the ring moved, and I go back the next morning to see if it moves again. Day 96. Strength 5,030,000. The ring keeps moving now. A hand's width becomes 2 by the end of the week. I stop counting centimeters and start counting mornings until it clears the ground. Bao Sheng wants a second wall before winter. Room to grow into. He draws it on the back of 3 filing envelopes taped together. Day 98. Strength 5,200,000. 63 people now. 3 groups walked in from the east this week, following a rumor about a warehouse with water and a wall. Bao Sheng interviews every one of them before they get a bed. Not for loyalty, for skill. A woman who ran a clinic before the sky opened gets a room to herself. It fills up with bandages nobody remembers scavenging. Day 100. Strength 5,600,000. Ru King walks through the gate on day 100 exactly. She is thinner. Her bee glows steady blue over her head, same as day 1. She has a duffel bag and a look I have not seen since she was 12 and broke something of our mother's. You have a wall, she says. I have a wall. You built a wall. Bao Sheng built the wall, I carried it. Day 100. Afternoon. Strength 5,650,000. 99 days at a bureau shelter 3 districts over. Rescues. Escorts. The work a B rank is supposed to do. She does not say it went well. She says she is tired and the voice says the rest. I heard there was a man at Depot 9 with a number that would not stop climbing, she says. I did not believe it until I saw the fence. Believe the fence. It is load-bearing. She sets the duffel bag down slowly, like her arms have forgotten how to stop carrying something they carried for 99 days. She looks at the wall like she is pricing it. Behind her, a woman I do not recognize is dragging a wounded man through the gate on a door taken off its hinges. Ru King is moving toward them before I finish the thought. She gets an arm under the man's shoulder without being asked. She checks the wound with 2 fingers, pressing until he flinches. It is a bite. Deep. Still bleeding through the shirt somebody wrapped around it. She calls the size of it out loud before the clinic woman even arrives. She calls for the clinic room before anybody else has decided to help. By the time I reach the gate, she already has the bleeding slowed. Her thumb pressed hard into the wound, not letting go until the clinic woman takes over. She does not laugh. She looks at my right hand, which still does not close all the way. She does not say anything about that either. Day 101. Strength 5,700,000. Bao Sheng likes her within an hour. She does not like him at all. Both of those things stay true for months. He runs this place like a filing cabinet, she tells me quietly. She is watching him assign water duty without looking up from the whiteboard. The filing cabinet has kept 63 people alive. I did not say it does not work. I said I do not like it. A crash from the food store cuts the argument short. One of the new arrivals has knocked over a shelf, reaching for something he was not supposed to touch. Ru Qing is across the yard before Bao Sheng finishes turning his chair around. She has the man by the collar and the shelf back upright inside a minute. He does not try to shake her off. Pulling away from that grip would have cost him a dislocated shoulder, and he is smart enough to know it, so he stands still until she lets go. She comes back to the whiteboard like nothing happened. Bao Sheng calls her the sister who thinks structure is an insult for 2 weeks. He stops the day she reorganizes the medical room without asking, and it works better than his version did. Day 105. Strength 6,100,000. She wants me to stop. She says it on the roof of the pump house at night. Backs against the water tank, the way we used to sit on the loading dock rail. You are at 6 million, she says. You could live behind this wall for the rest of your life and never need more. I am not doing this to live behind a wall. Then what? I do not have an answer that is not a number or a lie. So I give her the number. It goes up when something tries to end me. I do not know what happens if I stop finding things that try. You stop being hunted by your own arithmetic. That is what happens. I do not think it works that way. You do not know that it does not. She throws a pebble off the roof into the dark and we listen for it to land somewhere we cannot see. We do not finish the argument. We never finish it, not for 400 more days. Day 110. Strength 6,600,000. I take her to the silo once because she asks, and on the walk over she asks how many broken bones I have stopped counting. She stands at the fence line the way the depot kid did, except she does not need telling twice to stay back. My hands slip once on the wet underside before I find the grip again, knuckles scraping raw against the concrete. On the 9th second, the ring shifts. A slab the size of a door comes off the upper edge and drops past my shoulder, close enough that it takes a strip of skin off my ear on the way down. She does not move from the fence line. She watches the whole thing without flinching, which tells me something about 99 days at a bureau shelter that she has not said out loud. She watches me hold 90 tons for 11 seconds and says nothing until I'm back on the ground. That is not training, she says. That is a man asking a building to kill him slower than it wants to. Same thing from where I am standing. Day 115. Strength 7,200,000. Baoxing starts calling the two walls inner and outer. Ruqing brought back 6 people from her old shelter, and the perimeter needs a name now that it is growing. The outer wall goes up around the old loading yard, chain link again, patched with whatever we find. 2 of the new arrivals get into a shoving match over the ladder. Ruqing puts herself between them before either one throws a punch. One hand flat on each chest. Neither of them tries her twice. Ruqing organizes the crew for it in an afternoon, without asking me, the way she organizes everything. 12 on the wall, 4 on water, 6 on food. Baoxing writes the rota. Ruqing checks it and finds 2 mistakes. He corrects them without arguing, which surprises both of us. Day 120. Strength 7,800,000. I come back from the silo one evening and find them on either side of the whiteboard, not talking, both furious about something. She reassigned old son off gate watch, Baoxing says, without telling me, to a man who has been here 4 days. The new man ran security for a shipping firm, Ruqing says. Old son has bad knees and worse eyes, and you kept him there because you like him. I kept him there because he has been here since day 1. That means something. It means he is tired and you have not noticed. They are both right. I do not referee it. I go back to the silo. By morning they have worked it out themselves. Old son is training the new welders, snaps a bent bracket back into shape with 2 hands, looking relieved. Day 125, strength 8,400,000. I want to slow down here. It is the only quiet part I get for a long time. Evening. Roof of the pump house. A bowl of cold noodles Ruqing brought up without being asked. Baoxing hauls himself up the ladder on one leg, and a lot of complaining, and sits with us. Nobody is talking about ranks or walls or dung-hu. The depot has 91 people in it as of this morning. Nobody up here is thinking about that number either. Baoxing tells a story about a filing supervisor he hated for 6 years. It is not even a good story. I laugh anyway, properly, for what feels like the first time since a leaf would not come off a branch. Ruqing watches me laugh like she is filing it away for later. There, she says. That is the first time I have seen that since the sky opened. Since before that, probably, Baoxing says. I do not disagree. Some noodles have gone cold and nobody cares. For about 20 minutes, the 3 of us are just people on a roof. I let myself have it. Day 130. Strength 9,100,000. The quiet does not last. It never does. A courier drops a printed sheet at the gate. No explanation, addressed to nobody, meant for everybody who can read it. Wave 3. Preparation. District 7. Tier B. Notice issued. Collection in 70 days. Her name is 4th on the list. Ruqing Wei, B rank, assigned day 1. Projected yield to 4 decimal places, like a number that already belongs to somebody else. She reads it twice on the gate step, the same way the woman in the gray uniform reads everything twice. She does not sit down. She does not cry. She folds the paper into a square small enough to fit in a fist. I do not understand, she says. The sky said it does not change. Day 130. Evening. Strength 9,400,000. Baoxing finds the word that night, in a file he has had for months and never had a reason to read closely. Collection. Not confiscation. Not punishment. A lending term from before any of this. The return of something that was only ever on loan. It is not taking your rank away, he tells us. He is slow about it, in the voice he uses when he already knows something is bad. It is calling in the loan, principal and everything grown on it. Grown on it, Ruqing repeats. You have not just spent 99 days as a B rank, he says. You have spent them working at what a B rank does. Rescues, fights, strength handed for free eventually gets billed for the use. Day 131. Strength 9,700,000. I ask him the only question that matters. Can I stop it? He looks at the sheet a long time before he answers. I do not know what the top of this looks like, he says. I know it is not in this building. That is not an answer. It is the only one I have. You are not on their list. She is. Day 135. Strength 10,300,000. I pass a C rank on an ordinary Thursday, holding a length of collapsed silo casing. It cracks under my hands on the second try, a sound like a rifle shot that echoes off the container walls. A fragment the size of a fist catches me across the forearm, hard enough to crack the skin at the edge of it. The bruise lasts a week, purple going to yellow at the edges, dark enough that Baoxing asks about it twice. It would have killed the man I was 134 days ago. I do not tell anyone. It does not feel like anything at all. 10 million. Every C rank in this country was handed that number on the first morning and has done nothing to earn a single point of it since. It took me 135 days. A dead friend's leg that grew back into nothing. A wall, 63 strangers, a piece of paper with my sister's name on it, 70 days from now. Day 140, strength 11,100,000. Ruqing does not ask me to stop climbing again. She stops arguing about the roof, about the 6 million, about any of it. Instead, she asks Baosheng for every file on how a collection happens. Physically, in a room, to a person. She reads through the night on the same siphon diesel as the terminal. I find her asleep at the desk at dawn, the files still open. One hand rests on the page with her own name on it. Fingers spread flat, like she could hold the print in place by touching it hard enough. I do not wake her. I go to the silo instead. 70 days left, and I do not have a plan yet. I put my shoulder against the low edge of the ring at 5 in the morning. I push until the shaking starts and the concrete bites back, a fresh scrape opening along my forearm where the last one only just closed. The only thing I know how to do with time like that is make the number bigger. Day 145. Strength 11,800,000. Baosheng finds the pattern by accident, going through 5 months of bureau files looking for anything on how to stop a collection. It is not random, he says. Look at wave 1, look at wave 2. He spreads 3 sheets on the table. Each one a printout from a bureau terminal 3 towns over, still smelling faintly of the diesel that powers it. Wave 1 hit F ranks in 6 districts. Wave 2 hit E ranks in 9. Every district that got hit had one thing in common, and it had nothing to do with rank. Total strength density, how much power sits in one place. Day 146, strength 12,100,000. We built the strongest F and E cluster in this province, Baosheng says. Water, food, training, a system that made everyone here better at staying alive. We did not protect them from the harvest, we fattened it. Ruqing does not say anything for a long moment. She has read the same files 3 times already and gotten to the same place he just got to out loud. The clinic woman stops by the table on her way past. She is the one who filled her room with bandages nobody remembers scavenging, and she looks at the sheets for a long moment. "You are describing a farm," she says quietly. Nobody answers because there is nothing in the sentence to argue with, and she keeps walking before anyone tries. I go to the silo anyway at 2 in the morning. I put both hands under the ring even though there is nothing left in my legs to give it, 4 seconds before they buckle. I go down hard on one knee. The concrete bites a scrape into my palm on the way down, and it does not close until noon. I do not sleep that night. Not from training, from doing arithmetic Baosheng already finished for me. 91 people, a wall that keeps them fed and safe and growing. Every good thing I built here is a bigger number on somebody's collection sheet. Day 150. Strength 13,200,000. I have spent 150 days climbing to protect this place. The climbing is what is going to kill it. That is the morning my goal changes, and it does not feel like a decision. It feels like the floor tilting under something I thought was flat, the same way the ring tilted the first time it moved under my hands. Not high enough to defend it. That was never the actual problem. The actual problem sits above all of this, in a building none of us have seen, deciding what a district is worth. I have to reach that, not hold a wall, cut a source, whatever that turns out to mean once I actually find it and stand in front of it. Day 152. Strength 14 million. I tell Baosheng first. He listens without writing anything down, which is how I know he already suspected it. You cannot fight a collection, he says. It is not a monster, it is paperwork with teeth. Then I go where the paperwork lives. You do not know where that is. Neither do you. Find out. Day 155. Strength 14,600,000. Deng Hu chooses this exact week to stop being polite. 3 of the new people who joined last month get approached in the market. Quietly, one at a time, money enough to set a family up for a year. More than any of them have seen since the sky opened for the location of the man who broke Deng's crew on day 70. 2 of them tell Baosheng immediately. They walk straight to the whiteboard without stopping to think about it first. The 3rd one thinks about it for 2 days before she does. When she finally tells us, she is shaking, certain we are about to throw her out over it. Day 156. Strength 15,100,000. Ruqing wants to hunt the 3rd woman down and throw her out. She has her fist half closed before I get between them, and it costs her something visible to let it uncurl. I tell her no. She thought about it for 2 days and still told us, I say. That is the opposite of the problem. The problem is Deng Hu knows exactly where you sleep now. Deng Hu already knew. He has known since the letter. Day 158. Strength 15,700,000. Baoxing comes back from 3 days at the annex with something that is not good news dressed as good news, which is the only kind he ever delivers anymore. There is a lease market 2 districts south, he says. Dong-hu runs it out of an old grain exchange. If anyone has heard of where collections get processed, it is a man who trades leases for a living. So I go talk to him. He will not talk to you. You destroyed 6 of his men and turned down his money in front of the whole market. You go as a threat. Men do not give threats good information. Day 160. Strength 16,400,000. I go anyway. At night. Alone. I do not threaten anyone. Ru Qing wanted to come. I told her the gate needed her more than a grain exchange roof did, which was not a lie, but was not the whole truth either. The exchange is a converted grain warehouse with real guards on the door, F and E ranks, hired for their numbers, not their cents. I go over the roof instead of through the door. Dong-hu's office sits at the top of the exchange, past 3 flights of stairs that used to move grain, lit by 1 lamp. He is younger than I expected, maybe 40, reading a ledger with his feet on the desk. One of the guards outside hears the window and comes through the door with a knife already out. I take it off him before he clears the frame and bend the blade against the wall. He backs out without another word. He does not reach for anything when I come through the window. He puts the ledger down and looks at me for a long moment, unbothered. He has done this kind of conversation before, with somebody else, in a different office. I wondered when you would come, he says. I assumed it would involve more shouting. I am not here for you, I tell him. I want to know where collections get processed. The actual building. The actual people. And if I tell you, you leave my market alone. If you tell me I leave tonight without breaking anything, that is the whole offer. Day 160. Later, strength 16,500,000. He pours himself a drink from a bottle on the shelf behind him. Does not offer me one. He studies me for a while over the rim of the glass. Then he laughs, short and without much humor in it, and sets the glass down hard enough to crack the base. You misunderstand what I am, he says. I am not the enemy in this story. I am a symptom. Somebody was always going to build a market out of fear once the sky made fear profitable. If it was not me, it would be someone worse. He sets the glass down and taps 2 fingers on the closed ledger, like he is deciding how much of the truth is worth giving away for free. That is not an answer. You want the truth to have a shape. It does not. There is a relay station for this province inside a bank vault, 200 kilometers north. I do not know more than that. I am telling you because I would genuinely like you gone from my life. He picks the ledger back up before I am even out the window, already done with me, already back to whatever number mattered more than I did. Day 161. Strength 16,600,000. I believe him. That turns out to be the mistake that costs the most, though I do not know it yet. On the way out, a second guard swings a length of pipe at my head, more out of duty than hope. It snaps clean across my shoulder without leaving a mark. I leave the way I came in. Nobody follows me. Deng-hu goes back to his ledger before I am even off the roof, like the whole conversation cost him nothing at all. Day 165. Strength 17,300,000. Bao Sheng confirms the location through an old bureau contact 2 days later. A woman he has not spoken to since before the sky opened and clearly did not enjoy calling. A relay station. A bank vault. 200 kilometers north, exactly where Deng-hu said. He was telling the truth, Bao Sheng says, sounding almost disappointed about it. Why would he lie? He wanted me gone. Men like that always want something else too. I do not know what his is yet. Day 170. Strength 18,200,000. Bao Sheng marks the route on the map 3 separate times. Checking distances against fuel we do not have and roads that may not exist anymore. We plan the trip north for a week from now. Ru King wants to come. I tell her no. For once, she does not argue because somebody has to hold the depot if I am wrong about this. Day 173. Strength 18,900,000. Bao Sheng is gone for 6 hours before anyone notices. He left a note on the whiteboard, his own handwriting, saying he went to check something at the annex. He has done that 100 times before. That is why nobody thinks anything of it, until he does not come back by dark. He walks through the gate under his own power for the first time since the overpass. No crutches, favoring the legs slightly but walking. The whole yard goes quiet watching him do it. He comes back at midnight on his own 2 feet, which should have told me something was wrong before he said a word. His leg does not hurt him climbing the depot steps. It has not hurt in 2 days, he tells me later, grinning about it like a man who forgot pain was optional. He did not mention it because he did not want to jinx it. They can fix it, he says. There are people who can fix it. Properly, not crutches. The leg. He rolls up his trouser leg to show me the scar where the amputation was closed. There is new skin at the edge of it that was not there 3 days ago, pink and thin, like a burn healing over. Day 174, strength 19,400,000. I ask him who they are, twice, before he answers. He does not quite look at me either time. A clinic, outside the district. They work with least strength, the kind that heals things a body normally could not. It is expensive. How expensive? He looks at the new skin on his leg instead of at me, turning his ankle. Like he still cannot quite believe it moves the way it used to. Bao Sheng, I say. How expensive? He does not answer that one at all, and something in the way he goes quiet is louder than anything he could have said. I let it go. I am 14 days from a wave that will take my sister apart, and I do not have room in my head for anything else. That is my mistake, not his lie. My not asking twice. Day 178. Strength 20,100,000. I passed 20 million 4 days before we are due to leave for the relay station, sitting on the roof of the pump house alone. Ru Qing is running the outer wall crew, teaching 2 more people to read a rota the way Bao Sheng taught her. Bao Sheng has been at the annex 3 nights running, coming back later each time, walking a little steadier each time. I do not think anything of either. Day 179, strength 20,400,000. The ring takes both hands and everything my legs have left, and it comes free of the lower casing for almost 4 full seconds before I have to drop it. 3 days to the relay station. I checked the map Bao Sheng drew twice more, tracing the route north with one finger until I could walk it blind. Memorize the roads? Then I go back under the ring one more time before we leave? The number is the only tool I actually trust. Day 180. Strength 20,700,000. We leave for the relay station at dawn. Me, Bao Sheng, and a truck we siphoned fuel for over 3 weeks. Ru Qing stays. Somebody has to hold the gate, and we both know which one of us the collection actually wants. Day 183. Strength 21,600,000. 200 kilometers of broken road takes 3 days. The truck dies twice. Bao Sheng fixes it both times with wire and a filing clerk's patience, and does not once mention his leg. The relay station is a bank in a dead financial district. Glass towers standing empty around it like teeth with nothing left to chew. The vault door is still shut. Somebody welded a new frame around it. Steel plate, 3 meters thick. It hums faintly with something that is not electricity. Bao Sheng runs a hand along the seam. This was not built by anyone I have ever heard of. Day 184. Strength 22,300,000. I put both hands flat against the plate and push. My feet dig 2 grooves into the concrete floor behind me, and for the first 11 seconds nothing happens at all. Then it gives, all at once. A groan of metal tearing loose from bolts sunk 2 meters into concrete. My hands slip on the plate as it comes free, and I catch it again before it crushes my own foot against the frame. The door comes away entirely. I throw it sideways into the street, and it lands hard enough to crack the pavement beneath it. A nearby street lamp topples into the rubble with a crash that echoes off the empty towers around us. 22,300,000. The door weighed maybe 40 tons, and it felt like the tile on day 5. Day 185. Strength 23 million. Inside, the old bank floor has been gutted and rebuilt. It looks like a server farm crossed with a courtroom. Screens on every wall, a raised platform in the center with a single chair. Nobody is guarding it. That should have told me something. The screens show numbers scrolling too fast to read. Bao Sheng finds a terminal and works it fast and sure, the way he worked the annex. 20 minutes and he has the district files. Wave 3, he says. It does not start here. This building roots it. The source is deeper. Deeper where? He points at a maintenance stair behind the platform, unmarked, leading down into dark. Day 187. Strength 24,400,000. We go down. 2 days of stairs cut into rock that was not here when this was a bank. Floors that make less and less sense. Offices with furniture bolted at strange angles. Hallways that turn corners a hallway should not turn. Something with too many legs comes at us out of a side passage on the second day. It gets one claw into my shoulder before I close a hand around its throat. I put it through a wall, hard enough that the wall goes with it. Dust rains down for a full minute after. Bao Sheng stops talking after that. I do not ask why. Day 189, strength 26 million. We reach the bottom on the 9th day of travel. The stair opens into a cavern the size of a stadium. A single column of light at the center, rising through a hole in a ceiling I cannot see the top of. At the base of the column stands a man reading a ledger. He is old, not frail, just old, the way a mountain is old. dressed like a market trader with a folding table and almost nothing on it. I have seen him before. 92 days is not so long that I forget a face. Even one I saw for 2 minutes at a car park table selling 2 watches and a tin of pears. You, I say. Me, he agrees, not looking up from the ledger. You found something heavy after all. Day 190. Strength 26,900,000. My name is Tian Yuan, he says. I have been meaning to introduce myself properly for about 400 years. Bao Sheng beside me goes very still. He is the first, Bao Sheng says quietly. The bureau files call him the first. I thought it was a myth. Most origin stories are, by the time anyone writes them down, Tian Yuan says. Mine happens to be true. He explains it the way a man explains a system he built and has grown bored of. 400 years ago, he found the reservoir under the world, the same light rising through this cavern now. He took it whole instead of sharing it. Every rank handed out since is a loan drawn from what he holds. Every collection is him calling it back, with everything grown on it. I do not even need the yield, he says. I have not needed anything in 3 centuries. I do it because a system left running collects itself, and I built it to run. Day 191. Strength 28 million. Bao Sheng, beside me, has gone quiet. The particular quiet he gets when he is calculating something he does not want to say out loud. You could stop it, I say. I could, I choose not to. It would take an effort I no longer remember how to make, for people I have long since stopped being able to see as people. He sets the ledger down for the first time since we arrived, unhurried, and stands. And even standing still, he moves like something that has never once needed to hurry in 400 years. He finally looks up from the ledger, and his eyes go to the space above my head where a white 0 used to sit. He picks up a chair from the platform with 2 fingers, one-handed, and sets it down again without effort, the way another man might move a cup. You are the void account, he says. I wondered when you would climb this far. You are the only interesting thing to happen in 400 years. Day 192. Strength 29 million. There is a collection in Depot 9's district in 9 days, I tell him. Wave 3. My sister is on the list. There will be another wave after that, and another. That is what the system does. Stop it. No. He says it without malice, the way a man declines a drink. But you are welcome to try to make me. Day 193. Strength 30 million. Bao Sheng pulls me aside while Tian Yuan goes back to his ledger, unbothered, and speaks fast and low. We cannot beat him, he says. 300 million. You are at 30. That is not a gap. That is a different scale of thing entirely. I know the number. Then what is the plan? I do not have one yet, and I tell him so. And for the first time since the overpass, I watch him look genuinely frightened of what I might do next. Day 195. Strength 32 million. We do not fight him that day. I am not stupid enough for that, not yet, and Tian Yuan does not seem to expect it either. He tells us where Wave 3 physically completes. A tower 200 kilometers south of Depot 9, built for exactly this, where names get called and numbers get paid. If you want to save one person out of everyone that Wave takes, he says, you go there. You will not save more than one. The tower does not work that way. Day 198, strength 34 million. We leave the cavern the way we came, 3 days back up the stairs. Bao Sheng quieter than I've ever seen him. Another creature meets us on the way, this one larger, and it takes 3 strikes before it drops and stops twitching against the tunnel floor. On the second day of the climb, he tells me the truth about his leg. The clinic that fixed it, he says, not looking at me, takes payment and information, not money. What information? Depot 9's exact position, training patterns, your patterns. He stops walking. I told them 3 weeks ago before we ever left. I did not know then that it mattered. I know now. Day 200. Strength 35,800,000. I want to hit him. My hand actually closes into a fist before I catch it and force it back open. I do not hit him. I want to be honest about that because I think about it for a full 10 seconds, standing on a staircase 200 meters under the earth. Who did you tell it to? I say. The clinic works for Deng Hu. It always did. Day 201. Strength 36,500,000. 2 more things come at us on the way back up, smaller than the first, and I break both against the tunnel wall without breaking stride. We surface on day 201 into daylight that feels wrong after 9 days underground. The truck we left is gone. In its place, a note weighted down with a rock. Bao Sheng's handwriting is on it, except he did not write it. Come home and see what you left unguarded. DH. We run, no truck, no fuel, 200 kilometers between us and Depot 9. I do not stop moving until my legs are numb and my strength has climbed past anything I earned honestly on the way here. Bao Sheng cannot keep pace. I do not leave him behind, and it costs us 4 hours we do not have. Day 203, strength 39,200,000. We reach the outer wall at dusk on the second day of running. The gate is standing open. Smoke is coming from inside that is not cooking smoke, and there are drag marks in the dirt where something heavy got hauled through the gap. Ru King meets us at the gate. She is standing. She is breathing. Behind her, the medical room is full. Old Sun has a bandage over half his face. The whiteboard lies on the ground in 3 pieces. They came for the location Bao Sheng gave them, she says. They did not find you. They took some tools, burned the west storeroom. She has a cut over one eye that nobody has cleaned yet. I put 2 of them through the fence myself, left before I could stop more than half of them. She has bruised knuckles on both hands, and I do not ask how many of the 12 she actually fought before the rest ran. One of the men who ran left a weapon behind, dropped in the panic. Ruching has already broken it apart for scrap by the time we arrive. Nobody died. I say that first because it is the only thing that matters, and I need to hear myself say it before I let myself feel anything else. Bao Sheng stands in the gate looking at what his information bought us and does not say a word. Ruching does not look at him either. That is worse than if she had. Day 205. Strength 41 million. The wave is 5 days out. I have a location for where it completes. A sister 4 decimal places deep in a system built by a man 300 million strong, who has not needed to try in 4 centuries. The climb back up takes another 2 days. Somewhere on the first flight, my strength crosses a number I do not bother naming. The wave in 5 days does not care what it is. I do not have a plan. I have 5 days. A number that keeps climbing every time something tries to take from me. For the first time since a leaf would not come off a branch, I understand exactly what that number is for. Day 206. Strength 42 million. 4 days left. I do not have a plan. So I do the only thing I know how to do with time like that. I go back to the silo and make the number bigger. It is the only tool I have ever actually trusted. Bao Sheng finds me there at dawn. He does not say anything for a while. He just watches me hold the ring until my legs give out and I sit in the dust catching my breath. Tianyuan said something I have not stopped thinking about, he says. He said the tower does not work like a fight. Names get called and numbers get paid. That is not combat. That is accounting. So you do not need to be stronger than him at the tower. You need to be faster than the accounting. Day 207. Strength 44,300,000. We go back to the annex files, the ones on how a collection physically happens, the ones Ru Qing read through the night 3 weeks ago. A name gets called. A number gets subtracted from the person and added to the ledger. It takes time, seconds per name. There is an order the names get called in, and the order does not change once it is set. Ru Qing is 4th on the district list. I read it 3 times before the number stops looking like an accident and starts looking like a fact I have to build a plan around. Day 208. Strength 46 million. If I am inside the tower before the first name is called, I say, I have 3 names worth of time before hers comes up. 3 names is maybe 90 seconds. Then I have 90 seconds. Bao Sheng writes the number on the whiteboard and circles it twice. Neither of us says what both of us are thinking. 90 seconds has never once been enough time for anything that mattered. Day 209. Strength 47,800,000. Ru Qing does not want to hear the plan when I finally tell her. The plan is that she goes to the tower. I try to cut her free before the ledger finishes calling her name. If I am wrong about any part of it, she dies in a room built for exactly that purpose. There has to be another way, she says. There is not. I looked. Day 210. Strength 49,500,000. We leave for the tower 2 days early. The road south is worse than the road to the relay station, and I am not risking arriving late over a bad axle. Bao Sheng comes. Ru Qing does not ask him to stay behind, neither do I. Whatever trust broke between them broke clean. He needs to be there for what happens next more than any of us need him to be. Day 211. Strength 51 million. The tower stands alone in a flattened district. Windows dark, taller than anything else standing for 100 kilometers. There is a line already forming outside it by the time we arrive, a full day before the wave completes. People who know their names are on a list, waiting because there is nowhere else to be. Day 212. Strength 53,200,000. We do not wait in the line. I go over the wall at the back of the tower after dark. Inside is the same server farm and courtroom design as the relay station, scaled up to fill 40 floors. The ledger hall is on floor 1. Names get called from a platform at the center, the way Tianyuan's cavern had one. This one is full of people standing in rows, waiting to hear themselves. Day 213, strength 55 million. The wave completes at dawn. I have one night to find where in this building Ru Qing's name will actually be processed, and the building does not make that easy. Bao Sheng finds the routing room on the 3rd floor, a wall of screens showing every name in the district, in the order they will be called. Ru Qing's is 4th from the top. 4th? Bao Sheng says. You were right, 3 names ahead of her. I look at the 3 names above hers. An old man, a teenager, a woman with 2 children listed as dependents on her file, which means nothing to the system and everything to me. Day 214, strength 58,400,000. Dawn. The hall fills with people. I am in a maintenance gap above the platform, close enough to see faces. Ru Qing is in the 3rd row from the front, exactly where the list put her. Bao Sheng is at the routing terminal on the floor above, watching the names load one at a time, ready to shout the moment they change. Day 214. 6 in the morning, strength 59 million. The first name gets called. The old man. He does not run. He stands very still while a thread of light comes down and a number over his head drops to 0. He sits down on the floor exactly the way the woman at the yard office did on day 1 and does not get up. Day 214. 601. Strength 59,800,000. The second name, the teenager. He tries to run and gets 4 steps before the light finds him anyway. It does not care about distance inside this room. It does not care about anything except the order it was given. I do the arithmetic Bao Sheng and I built 3 days ago, and it holds. Roughly 30 seconds a name. Ru Xing has 1 left. I count it down under my breath without meaning to. The 3rd name. The woman with 2 children. She looks at the platform and says something I cannot hear from up here. Whatever it is, it does not stop the light. She goes the same way the other 2 went. Bao Sheng's voice comes down the stairwell, sharp. Now! It is her name now. I drop from the gap into the hall, 12 meters, and land hard enough to crack the floor tile under both feet. Every head in the room turns. Ru Ting's does too. For 1 second, she looks at me like I am the last thing she expected to see. After everything, that is exactly right. Day 214, 603, strength 63,500,000. I do not reach her in time to stop the thread of light from coming down. It finds her exactly on schedule, the way it found the other 3. A column of white settling over her blue B rank. I get one hand around her wrist as it starts to pull. It is not like pulling a leaf off a branch. It is not like holding 90 tons of concrete. It is like trying to hold water that has decided to go somewhere. My grip on her wrist is the only thing standing between her rank and whatever waits on the other end of that light. The number climbs faster than it has in my entire life. 65 million becomes 70 in the space it takes her to scream once. Day 214, 604, strength 82 million. I do not let go. The light pulls at both of us. The floor cracks wider under my feet. Somewhere above, Bao Sheng is shouting something I cannot make out, over the sound the ledger makes when it is cheated of something it was promised. Her B rank flickers. Blue. Then white. Then blue again. Undecided about which system owns it. It breaks all at once, the way the door at the relay station broke, and the light snaps back up into the ceiling like something recoiling from a burn. Ru Qing's rank stays blue. Steady. Hers. She is on the floor. I am on the floor next to her. My right hand never fully closed since Kang Ji broke it on day 1. It is closed around her wrist so hard I have to make myself let go. Sirens start somewhere above us, or something that functions like sirens in a building built by a 400-year-old man who has not needed to hurry in centuries. Bao Sheng comes down the stairwell 2 steps at a time, and for the first time since the leg healed, I see him run without thinking about it. Day 214. 615. Strength 112 million. We do not stay to see what happens to the rest of the line. I carry Ru Qing out through the hole I made coming in. Her legs have not stopped shaking. Bao Sheng follows with the routing files he grabbed on the way past. Even now, even here, he cannot leave good information behind. We are 3 kilometers clear of the tower before any of us says anything. You were not supposed to be able to do that, Ru Qing says. Nobody has ever pulled a name back out of a collection. It is not in any file Bao Sheng has. I did not know I could either. Bao Sheng reads through the routing files that night and finds the answer none of us wanted. It worked because your number was climbing faster than the ledger could process the theft, he says. That is not a technique. That is you outrunning a system that has never once had to hurry. So it only works once. It only works if you are already strong enough to outclimb the pull at the exact moment it happens. Against her, you barely were. I do not sleep well that night because the arithmetic is simple and ugly. Whatever Tianyuan is, his number does not climb. Mine does every time something tries to take something from me. The tower could only ever be practiced for the one place that will actually matter. Day 220. Strength 130 million. We are back at Depot 9 3 days later. The West storeroom is rebuilt. Old Sun's face has healed to a scar he will keep for the rest of his life. He already tells 3 different stories about it, depending on who is listening and how much he has had to drink that evening. Ru Qing does not leave my side for a week. Neither of us mentions it out loud, and neither of us needs to. She sleeps in the annex chair some nights instead of her own bed, close enough to the whiteboard to see it if anyone touches it. Day 225. Strength 140 million. I go back to the silo. There is nothing else to do with a number that only grows when the world tries to take something from it. The world has stopped trying for the moment. I have to make it try anyway. Baosheng starts calling it the reservoir problem on the whiteboard in his own handwriting. 300 million is not a wall anymore. It is a door I have not found the shape of yet. Somewhere under the earth, a man who has not needed to hurry in 400 years is about to learn what it feels like when something finally does. Day 230. Strength 150 million. Baosheng writes the reservoir problem on the whiteboard every morning and erases it every night. Writing it down is the closest either of us gets to solving it, and he has started doing both without seeming to notice he is doing either. He does not grow, Baosheng says. You do. That is the whole gap between you. It is not a gap you close by getting stronger the way you have been getting stronger. Then how? You go somewhere his 300 million is barely enough to survive. You have been doing that since day 2. You just have not found a floor heavy enough yet. Tianyuan told us where the reservoir sits. Not the cavern where we met him. Below it. A shaft none of the bureau files mention, sealed under the column of light itself. If the light comes from somewhere, Baosheng says, there is a somewhere it comes from. That is where you go. Day 240. Strength 178 million. Ru Qing wants to come this time. I tell her no, the same as before, and this time she does not let it go. You cut me out of a collection with your bare hands, she says. I am not staying behind a wall while you go do something worse than that alone. If I am wrong about the shaft, there will not be anything to save. Then I would rather be wrong next to you than right behind a fence. She comes. Baosheng comes. We leave Old Sun running the depot. His scar has healed, and the 3 different stories about it have worn down to one he actually believes now, told the same way every time. Day 250. Strength 210 million. The stair down from Tianyuan's cavern takes 4 days this time. Past the floor where we met him, past a locked service door Baosheng picks in 20 minutes flat. Into a passage none of the bureau ever mapped. The air changes. Heavier, the way air gets heavier before a storm that never arrives. The shaft opens into what looks like the inside of a turbine, built for something that was never a machine, walls that pulse faintly in time with something I can feel in my back teeth. Every step down is heavier than the last. The weight has nothing to do with the floor. Day 260. Strength 255 million. Baosheng stops on the 40th landing, breathing hard, one hand flat against the wall for balance. He does not go any further, and I do not ask him to. This is as far as information gets me, he says. The rest is you. Ru Qing keeps walking. Day 265. Strength 280 million. We reach the bottom on the 50th landing, day 265, counting from the sky. The passage opens into a chamber with no walls I can see. Only a column of light rising through its center, from a source I finally understand is not a light at all. It is a wound. Something torn open 400 years ago and never closed. Tianyuan is already there, sitting on a step carved into the rock at the edge of the wound, and he does not look surprised to see us. I wondered how long the floors would take you, he says. Longer than I expected. You are learning to be patient. That is new. Day 265. Later. Strength 295 million. I am not here to ask again, I tell him. I did not think you were. He stands, unhurried, the same way he stood in his own cavern. 295 million. You have nearly caught me. Do you understand what happens after that? No. Neither do I. Nobody has ever caught me before. Let us find out together. Ru Qing pulls me back by the arm before I move. Wait, look at him. Her grip is tight enough to leave a mark. He is not afraid. Why is he not afraid? Day 266, strength 298 million. I do not have an answer, and there is no time to find one. I open my mouth to say so anyway. Tianyuan crosses the distance between us faster than anything I have ever tracked with my eyes. The last thing I see clearly before the fight starts is Ru Qing pulling Baosheng back toward the tunnel mouth. Day 266. 6 minutes in, strength 301 million. He hits me across the chest before I even see his fist move. The first hit takes me off my feet and through the rock wall behind me, chunks of stone raining down over both of us. I am moving before I stop moving, rolling with the impact, because Baosheng's second rule has been screaming at me for 266 days and I finally understand it. Speed was never granted, only strength. My body only hardens by surviving what should have killed it. For the first time in this entire story, something is finally hitting me hard enough to teach it something. He hits me again. Rib, shoulder, the side of my skull hard enough that the whole chamber goes white for a second. And again. I do not block most of it because blocking costs technique I do not have. Taking it costs only pain, and pain is the one currency I have never once run out of. Ru Qing is screaming something from the ledge. I cannot hear the words over the sound my own ribs make. Day 266, 20 minutes in. Strength 380 million. Something changes on the 20th minute. Tianyuan's fist connects with my jaw, and I feel it differently than the last 19 minutes of hits. Not softer. Slower. The way a punch feels slower once your own hands have learned to move. I catch the next one. Not block. Catch. His whole arm stops moving the instant my fingers close around his wrist. The same way the Pump House F rank's wrist stopped 264 days ago. Day 266, 21 minutes in, strength 390 million. His face changes. 400 years of nothing new happening to him, and something new is happening to him. You are faster than me, he says, and it is not a question. It is a man reading a result off an instrument he built himself and trusted completely. You never had to hurry. I have been hurrying my whole life. Day 266, 25 minutes in, strength 410 million. I do not let go of his wrist. I close the distance instead and put my forehead into his face, the way Kang Ji put his into mine on day 12. Something in his nose breaks that has never broken in 4 centuries. Blood comes from his nose, dark and thick, and he staggers for the first time since before Depot 9 existed. Day 266, 30 minutes in, strength 440 million. The chamber starts coming apart around us. Not from anything either of us is doing directly, just from being near 2 numbers this large, moving this fast, in a space this old. A section of ceiling the size of a truck comes down where he was standing half a second ago. Ru Qing drags Baosheng back from the ledge as the whole floor cracks under the shockwave of the next exchange. He tries to run. I catch that too, one hand on his shoulder. For the first time in 400 years, Tianyuan learns what it feels like to not be the fastest thing in a room. Wait, he says, wait, we can talk about this. You had 400 years to talk about it. You spent them selling people back their own strength at interest. Day 266. 40 minutes in, strength 500 million. I do not throw him. I do not need technique for this any more than the Pump House F rank needed it for his card of water. I put both hands on him and finish it the way the whole story started. Pressure. Patience. A number that will not stop climbing. The wound at the center of the chamber flares white, then goes dark all at once, like a held breath finally let out. Day 266. Aftermath, strength 500 million. Every rank on the planet stops being fixed in the same second. I do not see it happen. I feel the chamber change instead. A pressure lifting that had been there so long none of us noticed it was pressure at all. Ru Qing feels her own number move for the first time in her life, standing on a ledge 265 landings under the earth. She starts laughing before she starts crying and does both at once, badly. The climb back up takes 4 days. Baosheng's leg does not hurt on any of them. He mentions it exactly once, quietly, like a man checking a superstition rather than reporting a fact. Day 275, strength 510 million. We surface into a world that looks the same and sounds completely different. Every screen in every ruined city scrolling numbers again, differently this time. Climbing, instead of waiting to be collected, Kang Ji is in the crowd at the depot gate when we finally walk back through it. He stands slightly apart from everyone else, the way he always did on shift. Out of habit rather than choice now. Ordinary now. His silver S gone the way every number went, standing at the edge of a crowd that used to be strangers and is not anymore. His mouth opens, then closes, and opens again. He tries to say something. I do not know what it was going to be, and I never find out. I say his name, correctly for the first time since the sky first opened. Then I walk past him into the yard. Day 300. Strength 600 million. 41 names are painted on the west wall now. Careful hand lettering that took someone 3 days to get right, under a strip of yard marking orange, the only thing that did not come back. Ru Qing is climbing on her own now, at her own pace. Most days she is annoyed that I am still ahead of her. She never once asks me to slow down. Baosheng has stopped mentioning his leg because there is nothing left to mention. He spends most of his days at the terminal instead, still cataloging everything he can find, out of habit more than need now. I still go to the silo most mornings, not because anything is trying to end me anymore. The number was never really about ending. It was about what I chose to become. The moment I understood I was allowed to grow at all. Somewhere behind me, the sky is still full of people learning what their own numbers can do now that nothing is stopping them. Most of them slower than I ever was. Some of them faster, none of them starting from a leaf that would not come off a branch. The count keeps moving. It always does, for anyone willing to stand under the weight long enough to earn it, and I intend to keep standing under it for as long as I am able.